Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our 11th episode of the Special Needs Hangout. I am Peter Mucheru, the founder of Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons. And here at Andy Speaks, we focus on ensuring that we support our caregivers, educate and equip them with skills and information to make the journey of special needs parenting easier. Our main focus is the persons with neurodevelopmental disabilities, and that is autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, learning challenges, ADHD, and the work. So the entire comorbids that come along with that. So today we have a special guest. We have Mr. Peter, and we shall be discussing puberty, sexuality, in special needs girls. And I'm sure the first time the issue came out, people are like, oh my God, it's a guy discussing girl stuff. But he is very, very experienced. 8 years he's been doing this. I know most of us as caregivers, this is one of those topics that we hear and we shiver and we just get mixed up with, oh my God, how am I going to handle this when we get there? Because remember, on top of all the other challenges that we have, puberty will still come, it will still be there with us, and we still have to deal with it as caregivers and as families. And the other part is that we actually, either unless you consult in our groups as caregivers, it's usually very hard to figure out how to do it, how it is best. And remember, parenting a special needs child does not come with a manual. And we are quite a small group, and also affecting more boys. The girls is a bit of a difficult topic to handle. So that's why we separated the two conversations, and earlier we had the boys, and now we have the ladies today. So our speaker, Mr. Peter, kindly introduce yourself, and then we can just dive into the conversation. Very well.
Hi everyone, my name is Peter Mucheru. I'm a teacher, special needs education, also a speech language therapist, upcoming for that matter. And I'm happy to be here. I know it's a tough topic for us to handle, Sylvia says, but I hope we'll be able to dissect it and try to find out, having the experience to deal with teenagers and boys and girls with special needs. I hope we'll be discussing out of experience. Out of experience is what we've been experiencing in our classes, in our school for the last few years. Thank you. Sylvia?
All right. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you very much. And yes, it's been 8 years. Just let's get a bit personal on this one, so that guys can feel a bit at ease. So for those who are on, if you have any questions direct, you can actually just put it on the chat box. For those joining, please ensure we are always on mute. If you'd like to say something, raise your hands, or just type on the chat box on the side. It's always there. So yes, so Peter, how is it? You are a teacher at a Kestrel Manor, right? So how is it when you have to handle this discussion? Because every time I think of how to start that conversation, you get frozen, and it's one of those questions a parent asks and you're like, oh dear Lord, when I hope I won't have to get to that space. So how has it been?
I think it's not an easy journey, as you say that when you think about it, the head starts boiling, because you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do. As you said, we don't come with a manual, neither this one does it come with a manual. The support system, unlike traditionally when we had people to support us, currently we don't have. Initially, we'll be sent to the grandmothers, grandfathers, the aunts and all that. But as we stand, you can see the society is changing, so it is never easy. But anyway, we need to discuss it. We need to break it down. We need to talk about it because it's happening. We have boys and girls who are growing. We don't need to assume that they are not growing. Each day, after their diagnosis of whichever the disability, we know that the child will be developing either chronologically, emotionally. Think about the total development of the child. Yeah, so we need to really come into it. Dealing with girls has been a big challenge, I know, but we have no school for girls only. We can't say that we now have, or we can separate and say that now we have a class for girls only. So Peter, you'll only be dealing with boys. So in my class, I have boys and girls. So I need to deal with them equally. And specifically, I'm specialized in teenagers. I deal with teens from the age of 8 to 22. So you expect all these things that we are talking about, they are there with us.
Wow, okay. 8 to 22. So when is the best age to start the conversation about sexuality with our girls? Considering most of the times a child could have hit the teen, but then as you can know, with their capabilities, you find that they're still maybe around 8 or even 6 and 5. So what could be the best way to actually, and the best time to start the conversation?
When we talk about development, I know you've been in the field, so you know, is that we are so much worried about communication. We are so much worried about walking. We are so much worried about all the other areas of communication.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, not many of us will think to engage about a debate about sexuality from an early age. So it starts as early as anything, because we have different stages of learning. What a child at 2 years old can learn at 4 years, 5, 6, 7 to 8, where our puberty, which is the earliest time that our puberty comes in, up to 14 and on and on. At every stage, there is something to be taught about sexuality and also about all the other topics that we are checking about. So we have no specific age we can say that now, let's start at this age. It needs to start as early as possible.
Okay. All right. So how early is early? Like, are we going to be following the physical age that we know, the chrono, or do we just observe and assess when they could be early? As in what space it's going to be the safer space? Because remember, we also sometimes you're not certain that okay, she's ready for this or not, and you're having that conversation, and most of the time we feel like we don't want to bring it up too early. So finding that right time is one of the most delicate moments in the parenting space, trying to know what exactly is the right time.
So the right time depends with the maturity of the child as well, as we say, as you're saying. But again, what else? We've said that at every stage there is something that we need to teach. Maybe I won't wait until 8 is when I'm teaching the child about the parts of the body. Okay, so part of the body can come as early, even at grade 2, 3, they are learning about the parts of the body. So as we continue, we go increasing. Now after getting to a certain stage, now we'll start being specific to what parts we are talking about. If you know that now I'm ready to teach about sexuality, you start adding those those parts that we don't like talking about. Yeah, so at around puberty kicks at around 8. The earliest kicks at around 8. But before then, we must have prepared them. Okay, so there is an initial preparation before we get into the puberty. So anytime, even before 8 years of age, it's very much okay to start discussing this. But basically, checking on how old is my child, what is the cognitive ability, how well can the child understand what we are talking about? Remembering that some children will mature before the others.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, how do we explain to them like the expectations, especially in the body changes? how would we best explain it without confusing them, and also elaborating the changes, especially when you can tell that they cannot quite respond as other children will respond, like they actually understand. There are those who can, and then because we're trying to cover everyone here, so I'm imagining a girl who's nonverbal and you're trying to tell them expect this to happen. So how would we communicate that? Or how would you advise for us to be able to explain to them so they don't get shocked? We all know that potty training is normally a challenge because of some of them feel that factor, like, why is part of me coming out of me? So how do we prepare them mentally for that?
True. I think as we talked about during the boys, is that we need to start thinking about what are some of the things that this child will need. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like when you're doing speech and language therapy, can you incorporate speech and language therapy to be to start preparing for the sexuality, because it's coming. Mm-hmm. So you might not use it at that time to say what exactly this is, but as you do that, you know that I'll be preparing for this because in future I might need it. Okay. It's not that this child is nonverbal, but we prepare. What are some of the things that we need? We'll be talking about menstrual hygiene. So what are some of the things that I need in the menstrual hygiene? So when I'm teaching about a cup, I'm teaching about the things that the child uses every day. Will I also incorporate the things that will come in for the transition? The key word here is to plan for the transition for the children.
Okay. Yeah, but then I'm trying to like hit the nail on the head. Like, how do I explain to her that in due time you will start growing boobs, in due time you will find that you broaden around the hips, because that's the skill we're trying to find. Like, how do you communicate that exactly to, because we are in a space of most of them, the people on your audience is parents who either are already there or are getting there. Yeah. So like, what kind of language should we use? How is it done? Either because we assume most of the time that it's done in school. So how is it actually done so that they get it and then they embrace it also? Mucheru, you're muted. There you go.
Sorry. We start with very simple things that the child interacts with like every day, the parts of the body. Okay. Once you teach the child, this is where, this is what, then we be very specific. We don't jump any part of the body.
Okay.
Include even the ones that are not included in the books. Okay. So I know there is the fear of some of the children are echolalic, so they might repeat, but if you put it into the holistic teaching of the parts of the body, then when you need to use that one to teach that specific topic, it will be very easy. This one is done by maybe the first thing is to break the whole thing into smaller pieces. What do I want to teach today? What specific topic do I want to handle? I want to handle about the menstrual hygiene. So what are some of the things, where do we get this? Where is it coming out from? So do we know that name? Okay. It might not be easy, but sometimes we need to use there is the use of pictures. We'll use some of the things like what we call the models. Okay. You'll also use some of the things like the tactiles. Yeah, things that the children can touch and interact with. So it's not just a thing that you wake up one day and say, I want to teach this. It's a slow that is broken into smaller pieces. It will take you long. That's why we said long before 8 years. The child should be ready now to interact with that they are coming to.
Okay. So now I just want you to use in one sentence, how do you tell a girl, now normally how you do it in school, how would I as a parent communicate to her that this is breast, And as you grow and as you get to a certain age, they're going to get bigger. And the essence of actually why this is happening, because you see, those are the delicate matters that we're looking at, because that is what will happen. And before they start screaming and getting, yes, we've already done the entire body. They understand this part is this part. But now we're talking about that transition, all right? That, okay, in the next few years, this is what you will be expecting. So that's more of the direct question.
Sylvia, that's a very tough question to answer, as you say.
No, it is. I believe. I believe
So,
it is very,
yes.
very proper. Yeah.
Yes, it's a very tough question to answer, how we tell them directly that this is this and this is this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So remember, there is you teach an organ and its use. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You teach an organ, you teach an organ and the uses of that organ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
So when the menstrual flow starts coming, then the child will be ready to know that this one is used for this one. So what is coming out is not something very strange, because we had talked about. And also, as we said, it will depend with the cognitive ability of that child. So if it is a child with a high functioning child, that will be very easy. But now when you're dealing maybe with a non-verbal, that will take a lot of, it needs another approach that is a little bit difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I hear you. Now, there's someone who had asked, some of the signs one should look out for to know that it's time to teach about sexuality. Like with the boys, we had seen the fact that you'll notice that they'll start fondling with their private part and stuff like that, and being curious about other people and stuff. So for our girls, how would we be able to tell?
That they're ready for training?
Yeah, that they're ready. Apart from the age factor, is there any behavior that will come out that will be able to tell you that, okay, this is the right time now to start this conversation?
Number one, we need to accept and agree that all the children, you see, we have this perception that children with special needs are asexual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we need, number one, to clear that we are all number one, we see a child first, we see a girl first.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you expect in any other developing child or girl, you also expect in this child with autism or whatever condition.
Mm.
So whatever you look at a typical child for development, it's the same thing you look for a child with special needs. Okay. So as we said, some will come up early and some will delay. Okay. For instance, some children with autism, they will have sensory issues. Okay. So, and with the sensory issues, some of the things will develop a little bit early. Like in autism, what we've noticed is that their sexuality developed far much earlier. Okay, some. So we really need to check on all what are these things that the children is portraying. So the first thing what I advise my parents is that take that child as any other child. Okay. Take that child as any other child. Plan for that. What you plan for a typical child at 3, please plan for a child with autism at 3. See the child first, then the autism later, knowing that this child will be developing like any other child. So don't wait for anything to show you that, okay, now we are ready to start teaching sexuality. So what you'll do with your child who is typical, kindly do the same with a child with autism. They are not asexual. They are sexually active, and at one stage or another, you'll need to handle that one.
Okay. All right. So that is good. Okay. Now, now you touched on something about now the menstruation time when it comes. So that's a conversation that's always had also when you're teaching the body parts. or is it now you wait until when you're almost getting there to start that conversation?
Myself, I don't.
You're muted.
Sorry. So myself, I don't do that. I don't teach that topic. There are some good people who help me there. And unfortunately, Teacher Lillian is not here with us today. He will have helped us unfold that one. But what I see is that for that one, they start teaching about things that come about with menstrual health as early as possible. For instance, I see them at early age, they start coming with the sanitary towels. They start training them with extra change of clothes. They start training.
We've lost you. We've lost you, Peter. Hello?
Can you hear me?
No, we lost you for a while. Tell me. No, we're back.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so I was saying, I see them, what they do is that they prepare for those children early. So even before they start, Teacher Lillian will have helped us in this, before they even start seeing their menstrual health, their menstrual flow, they start training them, and maybe they will come with during their life skill sessions, they are taught how to put the pads even before they start seeing their menstrual flows. Maybe it is well, it should form part of the IEP, where the parents are making the individualized plan for over any child who is over 8 years, 8 years and above, even if they have started or not. So let the parent insist that that should form part of it. So they start training slowly by slowly. So when this time comes, then it becomes so easy for them to now to adopt into it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Don't worry. We will have actually a session fully on menstruation and menstrual hygiene. But since that was there in the part of just how to teach and bring it up with our girls, I thought that we could touch on that. And I've seen someone has mentioned that they have a neighbor who has a grown special child, and when she's on her menses, she doesn't go to school for a whole week. And of course, that has that impact on a girl's education and stuff like that, because they're nonverbal and all that. And also trying to get them to use sanitary towels is one of the challenges. But then we will dive into that conversation with the specialist, that's Teacher Lillian and someone else, next month. So no sweat about it. Now, the other thing, how do we support our girls in matters self-esteem when they get to now the teenage space and the bullying, and there is now realizing that, oh, I am different, and more to that, that you find yourself growing in different speeds, like you have in the same age and someone else has developed way different from the other person. So how do you handle that self-esteem so that they learn to embrace who they are at their own speed and in their own space?
I think self-esteem is about the image of ourselves. So if we teach them how to, the first thing is to teach the child about me, so they know who I am by understanding who mimi ni nani, identifying myself first. I know, as you said, we have children with different disabilities, so it will depend also at the spectrum where the child is at. So some will understand about the whole thing. Some don't even realize that they are affected or not. We are the people to speak for them. So the first thing we need to know is that once the children get into the adolescent or at that early stage of puberty, they start losing it. This, I call it, is a stage whereby maybe the child is sprouting up. They will start worrying, what is this that is coming up? Why is my chest growing now? Some parts of the body starts filling up. Why is my back now also broadening as a girl? And some of them might even go silent. We call it the mouth off, because they are really not understanding what is happening with them. So if we can help children to self-identify, that would be very important. We are not worried much about the grades, but about the whole child. Who am I? And when we are asking that, we don't let them answer their names, that I'm Peter, that's not me, that's my name. We try to find the child inside, out of that child. Can we deal with these children? We deal with the issue of weight gain, because I know that's one area that they will be worried about. I'm now gaining weight. What is happening with me? Why am I not maturing like all the others? I'm maturing slowly than so and so. Why do we have some pimples on my face? We need to give them the assurity that there is nothing that is happening. There is nothing that is wrong about them. And how we go about this is to start training early, start talking about it early, even before it starts. Number two, what I always say is that we plan for transition. I know it's a crazy opportunity. It's a crazy time when we are turning to puberty. So many children, we lose them. This is the time that some of us who are, I call them those who eat the small foxes, are running after our girls. You can remember happening to take care of their space. Okay? Then we love them without judging them. We need to love these guys without judging them and give them a lot of guidance. So they need a lot of guidance from us, from parents, from teachers. We need to create a support system for our girls, so that by the end of the day, is that they are not left to find it for themselves. So what is happening to us? Can we explain to these children what exactly is happening to their bodies? Why the body changes? Why am I seeing this and it was not there yesterday? Why do I touch and feel that there is something on my boob that was not there? Am I sick? I think I was dealing with one of my friend's daughter, and the father was telling me that the girl is so much worried that there is a stone in her breast. So the father was worried, how do I start to explain this? So it's not something that is a secret. We have gone through it and I know most of the people listening to us are moms. We need also to involve daddies into this conversation, so that we can realize that there is nothing wrong with what is happening with us, so that we can keep the self-esteem at par.
Wow, thank you for that. Yes, indeed, self-esteem and the changes is some of the things that we usually struggle with. Now, when it comes to the same space, and now on top of the meltdowns that we have, it is combined with tantrums, and it is combined with mood swings, and the child might not even be understanding what is going on, especially those with intellectual disabilities. So a caregiver is asking, how do we handle the moods at this time? Because you see, now it makes it double. You can imagine, normally it is hard. Throw in now puberty moods. So how do you deal with that as a parent?
These are hard questions.
I told you it's
Sylvia.
gonna be a tough one, but
Yes,
you've done it for 8 years. I'm sure you
they,
experience it in class every day. So just let's assume we're in class and you're dealing with it. Yes.
Yes, they are very hard questions for all of us to answer as caregivers of these children. Number one, we are dealing with a child. Number two, with a child with special needs, plus all the other changes that are coming around. So number one, I was doing a research on the same topic sometimes. I'll be releasing a paper on the same, on the sexuality of teenagers. And you realize that most of us, we are not well prepared to deal with that. So the first thing that we need to do is that when such things comes, do we understand the child? Where is this child coming from? What are the triggers into our mood swing?
Mm-hmm.
So how do I behave when how do these guys, how do they behave at certain periods of time? For instance, I know of those who cry the whole day when they are in their menses. So how do we deal with that? The most important thing is to know how to deal with that child, and the first thing will be to find out the triggers. Is it our menses? Is it our what? What are the things that are making us change our moods up and down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've said, we need to deal with them with a lot of love. Give them a very high love without judging them. Then after that, we need to sit back and discuss with the parent and all of us, how do they behave at specific time, so that we can check the
Mm-hmm.
the ABCs of what is happening today.
Okay, that's good. Now, we have caregivers. Some of them have actually gone through this, and also we'd encourage, if you have something to say, lift your hand so that we can educate each other. Remember, for our hangout, it's not all about just listening, but it is a conversation we're having amongst ourselves. And then there is that concern that we always have, especially for our nonverbal children, and the raising cases of molestation and stuff like that. So a parent has asked, what can we do as parents? How do we teach them to self-protect and to report? Because even you find most of the times, if something happens, we always hear that the society disregards the special children because they say they don't trust what they're saying. But yes, we all know that they do understand what's going on. They do know how to report. So there has been a fellow parent who has responded and said that when she's bathing the child, she will point out the areas and tell her that if someone does touch her there, she should report it to either the father or the mother. You see, that's one of the things that you can do to just raise awareness about privacy. So now we'll shift now from that. Let's go about privacy. Apart from this, just illustrating and teaching them what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. So how would you guide? How do we guide them to explain that this is appropriate in terms of actions? Because remember, you find most of them are very touchy-feeling. They like hugging, and you do not want this to be handled with a stranger and misconstrued, and then we have the wrong outcome. So how would you do? You second that, and what more can we add on to that?
I think I like what I've seen one teacher doing when we are dealing with most of teenagers who are of opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen a good teacher of us doing is that they teach the children who is huggable and who is not. We start from there, because you realize that they want to hug everyone. They want to hug people of the opposite sex. So what I saw this teacher doing, and that was very good, is a child who has grown only with the father. So the father has trained her, you can chew me, and you can also you can also hug me. So it was a long discussion just to tell the father, please, let's stop, because we don't want to send in the mixed reaction. Why are we being told not to kiss this one? Why are we not told to hug this one? So what the teacher did was just to stop the whole thing. Kindly, let's now start teaching about the space, so that we don't mix up the child. Are we teaching about hugging people of opposite gender or sex? Please, as a boy, getting at this age, I should not hug women at all. So maybe you tell them it's only mommy, and yeah, what they said, it's only mommy. So they will only, slowly by slowly, the child will be able to learn, because they wanted to hug like any other person. And eventually, we learned that the child was able to to stop now hugging everyone. So I think we also need to, what is happening at home should also happen at school. So not at school we are teaching no hugging, then at home we are allowing the child to hug everyone again. So that becomes a little bit challenging, and also giving different signals.
Okay. The other thing that, apart from just organizing, I've been reading on the same, and one of the things that is encouraged is ensuring we talk and talk and talk about it over and over. But then now, like now I'll challenge you, Peter, like you just say chumdad or chumda, but then now what I believe is like we should call it as it is. You know, because when we change the language of what is the reality, like if it's a kiss, let's not use secondary names, I believe, because someone else will go and say, may I kiss you, and then they won't be able to relate, even when they come and report like someone did this to me, and it's opposite what you taught them. They might take it that it is okay, because it is not. Remember, I think for us, because our children, what you teach them first is what sticks, and that is
Yes.
what they hold on to. So one of the things that we should do is when we're discussing sexuality, we don't talk about, you know, the way people nickname different body parts. So if it is breast, let's call them that, so that way when something happens, this is also addressing now the question that we had about them reporting, so that things are very clear when they come to you. And let's say at home we use the code name, like this is private part, this is tutu, this is what. If something happens and you're not there to clarify what that is, they might not understand. The person who receives first-hand information might not understand, just in case of an emergency. But then if let's say someone takes advantage of them, and you have been having the conversation and you've been using the correct words and terminologies, you will find a child will be able to tell you that. And also picking some of the learnings we had when we had the boys session, where it was said, like, also when we are referring to people, not everyone is uncle and auntie. Let them be who they are. That way, they can be able to clearly differentiate this person. Even if you use auntie, use plus their name. So if it's auntie XYZ, you know, so they know if they're coming to report and say, Uncle George did this to me, then you will know that this is the person, and they will tell you, oh, XYZ touched my, you know, touched my vagina, or touched my breast, or touched my butt. Because remember, we have people who misbehave and grope also our girls, something that should not be allowed. Because remember also, when it happens, they also, if it happens like more than once and you've not said it is wrong, they might take it like it's a normal thing. Or what do you think, Peter?
Yeah, I think that's very true. We should call the names as they are. And also we let them know that children are not bots. I was looking at a syllabus that I was looking from somewhere. You know, in Kenya, we don't have a sexuality syllabus that we can use for our boys and girls. I was looking at something from the UK, and they talk about it the way it is. So what are we talking about? We are talking about a vagina. We are talking about a penis. We are talking about the body parts as they look. So that also when these children, they are learning, though there is that fear of public and private, Sylvia, where parents, as for some of us with children with autism, they fear that the children will speak those words in public. So there is also, as you've asked, the issue of public and private. But the first thing also I will also encourage is that we have a support system of people also who understand us. So that if they hear a child X say penis, they will not be worried. Why is this saying this? They will be in a position to understand that this child is coming from here and is going here. So it's better we teach them about it than being quiet, then we'll be sorry later. So the most important thing is that, as you say, we call things as they are called. If it is people around us, like we keep on changing the caregivers who comes in, they are all aunts, but it's aunt who, okay? It's aunt who, it's uncle who is coming into my house. Let's call them by their names. If it is teacher, let it be not just be teacher, it's teacher Peter, okay? And some of them, they will go and describe it, Teacher Peter, with a gap. So that will be very easy. What are some of the features that the child can use to identify me with?
Okay, yeah, that's actually great. That's awesome. And then the other thing is when you're having this conversation, to make it let even the inner circle, that is your family, immediate family. We're talking about the nuclear family, like you mentioned. We should involve the father. If they have siblings, also have the conversation together so that they also understand. Because remember, we also have other things that we're doing, so you might not always be there to be the first one to be reported to. So everyone in the household should be taking part. And then if your child is not able to speak, what you can do is I think if we print out like the different parts of the body that we're talking about when we are teaching them. Then you have them in a specific place where you know that if they need to communicate something with relation to that, because this will also I believe will help. Like, let's say for us ladies, when you're having infections and stuff like that, like when you're having cramps and stuff like that, if you have images that describe that and they're put in a specific place, the child can go and pick and show you, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through. And that also helps you to intervene, because sometimes it can be quite a challenge to figure out some of these things. And also reaching out for assistance, like in our support groups, like Teacher Peter has said, in the support groups that we have as caregivers, also if you're having a challenge, there are those who've gone ahead of you. Make sure you have that buddy group, and also have your girl have another special needs girl who is either in the same space, because it's always easier when you walk through a journey together. I believe so. What do you believe? What do you mean? What's your view in that, Peter?
Yes, this is not a new journey. There are people who are walking ahead of us. And what we say is there is no, in parenting, there is no experts. There are no experts in parenting. So there are always people ahead of us whom we can look for. At least have some people that. And I like what I was talking to Dr. Jane the other day, and she told me, Peter, I'm calling you to go and look for people that you can use to mentor young boys with special needs. So can we come up with a system where we can get people that at least we can call? If it is a boy has an issue, we can reach out on Peter and ask Peter, how can we do this? Okay. If it is a parent or a teacher that you trust, let's discuss this all of us together. Then we come up with a support system. I like what I heard from Mwea, Kirinyaga County. What they have done, they have gone ahead to come up with the child protection support group. So where they are pulling in people of all, from all source of this life that we think of administrators, so that when there is something that is coming up, we know whom to call.
Okay. Thank you for that. And there is a parent, when we're talking about now private space and public space. So we are being asked, how do you let your child know that they should not undress in the presence of other people? So we're now moving to privacy, not of now the body parts, but behavioral privacy in terms of how to sit, especially for the girls. I believe sitting is not so hard, but then there are things like we have undressing is not a new thing, especially with autistic parents, because the child will just either run out when you're dressing them to where there are people. So how is the best way, without killing their self-esteem and without making them feel like you have seen the worst seen in the world, how would you communicate that to a child? Remembering that you said we have to remember their children first, and then there is all these things, the changes that are going on in them.
That's always a challenge to many. I think the first thing is that what we need to do is when we are starting to train. For instance, you are changing for shower. Do they change from anywhere? Today they change from the sitting, tomorrow from the kitchen, the other day from outside. So what is the specific place that they can be changing for maybe shower? Okay. So we define the boundaries. So where am I changing for am I going to sleep? Where do I change into my sleeping legal the pajamas? We need to have a proper schedule of things on how they should be done, so that we don't give mixed reaction to the child, because we are teaching this then and teaching it with something else. As you said, our children, what they learn first is what they run with. So if you don't give it at first the right thing, then you'll still have a challenge. But again, I realize that there are those with autism that they don't mind even undressing in public. So those are some of the challenges that we are facing also in school. And as we do that, if it is in a school setup, do we predict, show the child what is needed of them? Number one, have we shown them where the washrooms are? Because some of the behavior will come as a way of communication. Okay, so have we met the child's need within the environment? So we should prepare to transit from one environment to the other, because mainly you realize that the behaviors don't just come. They happen because of a certain trigger. Could it be change? You've walked into a mall. The child, how does he communicate that he wants to use the washrooms? Is the area well accommodative for him? If not, then you expect some of the behavior. So you need to know what are some of the behaviors that I'm expecting from my child. If it is undressing, so how do I take care of this? Sometimes we say, if it is a boy, can we do, if they do the pants, they remove the pants, can we do a trouser with a belt today? Okay, so that when it will not be very easy, but you will know when he starts touching, he maybe wants to use the bathroom or something like that.
The other thing that I believe that helps, like you said, because of routine, we need to be consistent in where we do things. That will help them to know this is the only way. And the more consistent you are, the easier it is for them to get that. Now, when we're talking about now the different body parts and the changes, one of the other skill sets that I've also read about is for you as a mother, when you can take time to stand in front of a mirror with your daughter, all right? And then you point out, and then you explain, you see, mommy is different, you are different, okay? When you grow over time, you will also look like this. You understand? If it's about hair, if it's about the hips and having, all these body changes, and similar to boys, that is one of the things they can do with the fathers, because at least remember they're very tactile and visual. So if pictures don't make sense, then maybe most of the times then you will find that it will be easier to use yourself as the parent as an example, so that they are able to understand. Because sometimes you can use words, you can use pictures, but pictures can be 2D or 3D, but then it might not quite get home. So if you see, or if you come up with also, let's say you have a sister or a sibling and you have different ages, let's say for you, you're a mature lady, then maybe you have another teenage daughter or even a niece or, a nephew, and then there is them. So if the three of you stand in front of a mirror and you explain to them, like, can you see you are like this? And when you get to the same age as your sister XYZ, it will be like this. And when you're fully grown and the process of your body changes has completed, then you will look like mommy or something close like mommy. So that helps you with them to get to understand what exactly it is we're talking about. There is actually a manual that we have, but it's very intense. And we will be uploading it for those who are not aware, we have a platform called Special Needs Info Hub, where we put resources for caregivers to be able to refer to, but this has not yet been uploaded yet. I will make sure we upload it soon. But let me just share my screen and show you one of the pages of how to explain these changes that come in the bodies. There you go. I hope everyone is seeing. So you see, these are this is what is one of the ways we are advised. Like if it's when you're pointing to them, You say, show me the head, show me the arm, show me your leg, where is your stomach? That will help you in terms of cramps and stuff like that. Show me your foot, your lips. That also shows you about when you're talking about kissing, don't kiss on the lips, kiss on the cheeks. When talking about breasts, we're talking about the penis and the testicle and the pubic area, and also hair. Remember, there is that. So for us as special needs parents, you'll find one of the things that we will have to let go and lose is that shyness and that issue of, oh my God, I'm shy. Oh my God, my baby might not be seeing. But you see, that is the sacrifice we might have to do to be able to safeguard the security of our own kids. And I know, like we've mentioned earlier, the issue about time is one of the many challenging things that we find. Also, in terms of growing up, there will come a time when you have to explain to them about having sex and how it's done and whatnot. Because now, remember, we're not talking about just the early stages, but we're talking about the full length of adolescence and past. Because there is one of our field days, a parent approached me and was like, the daughter is asking, the younger sibling has been married and she's not married yet, and she's asking, why is she not married? She also wants her own person. Because remember, as Peter said, they're still humans, individuals like everyone else, and they're seeing the changes in life and they're expecting to be living the same lifestyle. So the parent is feeling, how do I explain to her things are different and you cannot just bring someone? And now this will shift us now to the discussion on relationships. You know, Peter, how do we handle relationships when we are talking about, so this book, we will upload it. It's a whole, it has activities and things, you know, like how do you touch a good, how do you teach them what is good and what is bad when it comes to teaching, and people's reaction so that they understand the boundaries and read things like, you know, because they're huggy, if someone reacts like this, what does it mean, and stuff like that, and about space. And like this one, it's about what is about boyfriend, girlfriend. The doctor is, how is the doctor supposed to teach you some of the relations? How is distance, you know, between people, you know, stuff like that. So I'm just flipping through to just show you a tidbit of them. So you find in it we will have the different types of good and bad touches and how to handle it. So it's generally a guide that requires a lot of activities in the house. Also, when we were talking about hugging and how to hug and how to maintain appropriate distance, because remember, some of our kids can really be up in your face, like they will infringe on personal space, and they won't be aware that if it's okay or not okay. And most of the times, you might find that people who might not take it well. And it might be misinterpreted, because I know there is a story where we had someone blaming because the boy did not know the way the doors are labeled male and female, and he walked into the wrong one, and this girl screams, and it was a long police case. And you can imagine, for a challenged child, that is not the best of experiences when you are actually getting into this space of puberty. So these are some of the images and practical things you can do in the house to just explain to them about distance, being close, about physical contact, and who, because you know, have family members you can use as examples. And you see now, like that one shows you reactions. If someone reacts like this, you should back off, because remember, not everyone is so welcoming. And that's one of the challenges we are also facing right now during Corona with the social distancing. All right. And also, like, coming from the back, approaching someone from the back can also get them into trouble. And hi-fi being the safest way to just have being the best way to just say hi, so that we do not intrude in people's personal space. So that's some of the reading that we have. So we'll post that up, and if anyone would like that, you can always drop us an email or DM us on any of our social media for us to be able to share that with you, because it's a whole 80-page document that will be able to help you also navigate and do. So it's a way that you can actually teach your child, like step by step over time, and start that conversation. So Peter, over to you again.
I go a little bit back on what you've just said
Mm-hmm.
about modeling.
Mm-hmm.
Modeling is very important and it's key to our children. I'll give an example of how I teach my boys. Remember, we are using boys for teenage boys. Maybe they don't know how to use the urinal or the toilet at teenage. How do we do this? I'll walk with them to the urinal and stand with them, all of us facing the wall. Others will drop their clothes down. So you need to model a proper dressing code for them, how you're supposed to stand, how you're supposed to do all that stuff. Also learned another one from one of the parents, I don't know if she's here, very good, that she'll walk with the daughter to the toilet, all of them, both of them. Then they sit on the ball. The mother sits, then the girl will follow suit. So it's the easiest way to teach by modeling. So if parents can be able to model that, but again, the parents we've talked with, they say, oh, ataniona. So as you said, we need also to put away our traditional way of living and know that we are dealing with a child now. And maybe when you are dealing with autism, they might be with you, but they are not seeing what you are doing. They're just seeing what they can see, but some of those things don't even make sense to them until we explain to them. So you also asked about the relationships. The relationships, that's a big topic again, that needs to be handled. And in the relationships, you know that our children, some have good social skills. If we want to teach them about the relationship, depending on what we want them to learn, we need also to check on the holistic development of the child. How is their communication? Will the child be able to communicate her functional needs, the functional communication part of it, the social awareness? Is the child able to identify the environment around them and people around them who are strangers in our midst, who are people within our family? So there are quite a number of things that we need to check about in relationship as we teach them. We check them on the family and friends. Who can we call a family member? Who is a friend? Also, our body comes in again. We need also to learn about our bodies. Which are some of the private parts? What are some of my private parts? And what are some of the that and which one cannot be seen? Because socially, we need to see that our children, there is what we regard as the society, the social norms, okay, which might not also be very normal in social circumstances when we are dealing with children with special needs. So the relationship is a big topic that also we need also to check on the private and public about our children. So it's very important when we are teaching this, we let our children know. The other question I had was about boy girlfriends. There was a heated debate in one of the meetings that we were in where a parent was saying we need to connect our children together now. If you have a boy, I have a girl, can they get married? Then we share cost, we cost share and we make them have a life. So that also goes back to us as parents, what do we regard, and our society, what do we regard? Remember, there is the issue of the culture also that comes in as Africans. We believe in some things, we don't want to speak about them in public. Like one case I've been dealing with, a boy and a girl in love. I don't know if it is in love or something like that. But when we went to discuss this in somewhere in a boardroom, someone said, "I'll shoot him when I see him closer to my girl." So we need also as parents to be educated around this, that they can also make relationships, but we need to show also to what extent can our children go into a relationship. Is it a boy-girl relationship? Yes. How far can they go into this? Because they are not living in a world of there is no world of disability alone. They live in the world that they are living in, and where people are making love, they are becoming friends, they are making boys and girls, girlfriends. Then we need to ask ourselves, how are we going to help them go through this? I know it's a controversial topic, but again, we need to face it, Sylvia.
be true, because we always say, yes, our children are special, but they live in a community. So we need to learn best how to integrate them and not isolate them. Because sometimes, remember, if God forbid you're not there, they will be left to the rest of the world, and not everyone might know how to handle them. So they need to be prepared for that, and they will grow and they develop and they change. So it's not that they're going to be stagnant in the same space through and through, but the fact that they're going to be evolving with time. And as they evolve, we also need to be evolving with them, in terms of, if they're in the space right now, they can have a relationship. Not that you force them to go there, because we know there is the challenges that we always find. There are parents who always say, like, okay, if these hormones are too much, I don't know how to deal with it, I would like to seek for medical interventions to just control that. So Peter, I don't know if you've had any experience with that. And also there is the other thing about when it comes to now sexuality and body reactions, and we have parents who say, I would rather use, what do they call, family planning on my girl, other than coming to learn that someone, took advantage of them and they get pregnant. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? And if there's any parents who can share their experience or what they feel about that, it would be beneficial for the rest of us to just get to understand. How do you deal with that when it comes to that point, and you're scared, Steve? Would it be something to think about? Is it something to consider, or we just let nature take its course? What do you think, Peter? You are muted.
Sorry.
Okay. Go ahead. No, it's still, one second, Peter. It's not responding in good time. So either you do it, because I'm unmuting you and it's refusing. So just do it on your side. There you go. Check it.
Good. Sorry, I'm getting some background noise. That's why I'm muting it. So,
Okay.
sorry. So what I'm saying is that it's a controversial topic about dealing with our teenage boys and girls. You've seen the controversy even in the country about how are we going to handle. Do we introduce things to do with contraceptive every day? So I think there is need for caregivers also not to wait for the people that think they are talking for us, like the activists. People want to gain their milestones when they are discussing about our children's sexuality. We need to engage to a discussion and tell each other the truth. We ask each other what is working at our level, because some of the things that we think are so bad, they're not that bad. And some of the things that we think that we can adapt, they're not very good to be adopted. Yeah. So, for instance, if we talk about the point, I was reading something in a unit from a UK-based curriculum. They're talking about training them about masturbation. In Kenya, it's happening. So how do we deal with that? Yeah, how do we help our children to go through the whole process? Because all these things are happening. So what I will say about the contraceptives and how to deal with that, because it's still in debate, we leave it to the parent to think about it. So far, I've not received any parent who wants to go through the medical intervention, but you find that so many parents live in fear that could my child be abused? Could my child be taken advantage of? What about? What is the future of this child who has a special needs, and my child with special needs? Will they ever have a family? Those are some of the questions I'm receiving. That was the discussion that led to, can we bring them together, get them a boy or a girl whom they can love each other with, and they can fall in love with, then we help them live through their life. So that is a big discussion, Sylvia, that needs to be addressed with sobriety, with a lot of sobriety.
Okay, we will try our best to be part of the conversation, so we do not have some of these things put out that are maybe not safe. Let's see. I know on Tuesday we'll be having a discussion in a conference with Kepra, the ones who set up policies, and I'll be taking up the conversation on sexuality in our youths and also menstrual hygiene. So this will be the take homes that we will be taking from here to just present to the rest of them. And I hope we'll be able to represent our community very well. And also the menstrual hygiene laws were just put the other day. So we're in the process of analyzing that and see what level of inclusion that we have for our girls, our special needs girls, because most of the time you'll find this is the most crucial stage where these things are launched, and we discover that our kids were not considered in that space. So let's hope that goes through very well. For those in audience, kindly, if you have any questions, you can put it on the chat. And for anyone who would like to receive the manual, please also put your email address on the chat box so that I can mail that to you, so that we can be able to help you walk the journey with your child during this moment. So now the other discussion that I wanted us to touch on, Peter, is about maintaining space with relatives. No, we've had most cases that things have shifted. It's no longer that stranger who waylays your girl, but the people we trust at home. So apart from the communication and teaching them where not to be touched, when we're talking about space, when we're talking about respect of privacy, do we have, because you see, these are the people who know the vulnerabilities of our girls. They know maybe this girl cannot talk, they understand the limitations and stuff like that. And our children, most likely you find, have a level of trust with some of these people. So, and there could be that gray area when it comes to that, and you say, Uncle so and so. So does that mean that we limit that physical contact with the rest of the extended family completely? Or how would we safest to do this to just safeguard the sanity and innocence of our girls?
Sylvia, on that, I think as in the society we're living today, things are changing so fast. Things are changing so fast, and the first thing I can say is that our children are not safe. Neither are they safe with the strangers or even the people they know, because mostly the statistics are saying that most children who are abused, they are abused by their very close people that they trust and people that they can. Also, as caregivers, we need to raise. We need to think around it so hard and know whom can I trust my child with, and whom can I. Who is this one person that my child can be able to we can entrust our children to, because when you're talking about the relatives, they are the ones who are abusing our children as we stand, both with and without special needs. There was a case last week of even the brothers in the house. There was that case I was listening last week of two girls impregnated by their own brother. When the mother asked, they are saying, "Oh, whose?" Wanasema, "This is from it's for so and so." Who's from so and so? So we need also to. I think, Sylvia, I don't even know how to put it, but it's a big debate that is happening. But to me, no trust to anyone. I think number one, who are your inner circle, and whom can I leave my child with, and whom can I not?
Okay, I hear you, because that's the safest bet anyway, because wow, it's usually such a delicate matter that we have to deal with. But also the other thing we need to teach our children is the consequences also, I believe, right? That they need to understand, our children need to understand that if I do this and if this happens, these are the consequences. Because sometimes when if we just say, don't do this, it might not make sense to them. And someone else might come and tell them the opposite, that no, it's okay, your parent lied and stuff like that. So we also have to maintain our relationships with our children to be very sacred and very close, so that you find that they really, really understand. Or Peter, what do you think? How best should we go about that one? Or what do you believe?
I was watching one person who was having a discussion with their daughter, and I really liked it. It's a typical child, someone talking with a child, with a daughter, about why the girl felt that he needed she needed the father to know the girlfriend, the boyfriend, sorry, and the father was explaining to the girl why it is important to have the boyfriend, and after the boyfriend, what happens, the whole stages, and what are the consequences of having whoever you mean. For instance, do I know your boyfriend? Uh, who is your boyfriend? Why do you need to have one? So it's a long discussion. Okay, then I had them go to a discussion about the pregnancies, about the intimacy into it, okay, about the love and the infatuation. So if we have clear discussions with them, more so with our children, those who can understand in the upper side of the spectrum, if there is any part like that, then I think we'll be a little bit safe. And also we train them on where is my privacy, whom can we talk to, whom can I trust, whom can I not trust at this moment, because it's a big issue in this country where I don't know what has come into people. They've decided, the small foxes have decided to eat even our grapes that are not even, they are not ripe yet. So we need people to help us get into hold of those small foxes.
All right. Okay.
And also I think we need to tighten our, Sylvia, because you see it in some of these forums, we tighten some of our rules and laws, they be followed to the latter, so that we can at least, I don't see why children will live they have no any other world. So if we cannot protect them and the society, then we have no need even to be around them.
I totally agree with you. Yes, as we generally protect the child and the girl child, our children need that extra protection because of the challenges that they have growing up. And I've not seen any questions, so I believe everyone is sorted out. And looking at the time, also, it's about that time that we come to the end of our hangout and conversation. And I'd like to say a big thank you, Peter, for taking time and also for warming up and accepting to have this very, very sensitive conversation about the girls that we are raising in the special needs space. As caregivers, for all of us who joined, thank you very much. I'm made to understand there was a small hitch with login, but most of us are here, and I am glad that we were able to do this. Next week is the end of the month, and that is usually when we say, you take care of yourself. So it is Self-Care Saturday next week, which will be 1st of August, meaning you take your time, so we won't be having a session on Saturday. But the other Saturday after that, we shall be hosting Dr. Samia Pauline from the Aga Khan University, who will be taking us through convulsions and epilepsy and the medications that our children are taking, and why do we take them, and all those questions you always have, and at what point to do what. So we are going to be handling that on the 7th of August. And after that, then we will also roll out the rest of the programs. Remember, menstruation on its own is a topic on its own. We shall be having 2 or so people to have the discussion with, and it will be also very informative, for lack of a better word, because we know this is one of the hardest questions. I found it was going to be very heavy for Peter to have to handle that. As he said, this is a very, very delicate topic to discuss. So thank you all of you for being here today, and be sure to set your alarm for that discussion on the 1st and following. So we are here every Saturday, but for Pauline's session, it's going to be in the evening. That's at 6 p.m. So please keep that day open. That will be on the 7th. We shall be having it 7th or 8th. Yeah, the Saturday, the 2nd Saturday of August. we shall be having it in the evening because of the timelines, being a doctor, and we all understand the situation that's there. So save the date. Thank you all very much, and don't forget to take care of yourself this whole week and next week, and we shall be back. And the sessions will, as always, be posted on our social media. I hope you're following us to see the discussions that we're having and all the events that we have, either online or offline, and also on our social media handles. You can follow us on Twitter at Andy Speaks 4, on Instagram Andy Speaks. My handle is Sylvia Mucheru, that is on Instagram, and on Twitter it is Mora Sylvia. On Facebook, if you're not in our group, where we post a lot of encouraging situations, and for this topic we've seen there was actually a marriage ceremony for special children, 2 of them, and they're living very well. So it's something that's very, very, very possible. So don't give up on your child. Don't feel like, oh my God, my child is not going to have a life and stuff. It is possible. Work with them, hold their hand, and prepare them in good time so that life does not disappoint them. Manage their expectations, because I'm sure they can see friends, they can see family, they see movies, and they see these things happening, so that they don't feel like, oh my God, this is not happening for me. Why? So as to safeguard that self-esteem of theirs, let us talk to them, talk to them, talk to them. So I've been your host, as always, Sylvia Mucheru, and we shall be seeing you on the 7th or 8th of August, the next Saturday, when we'll be having our next hangout. Have a fabulous evening. We've had 2 interpreters today. We had Jackie sitting in for a bit for Maureen Maida, and because we are an inclusive space, we always have to cater also for those who are hard of hearing. So thank you very much, everyone, and do have a fabulous weekend, and regards to your family. Thank you.